A 36-year-old cardiologist, originally from Nigeria, reportedly took his own life after being ordered by the court to pay 15,000 in child support. It is reported that he held the mother of his two kids for hours, then turned the gun to himself. Stay tuned to find out more.
Hello, friends. Thanks for joining this channel once again. First, my condolence goes out to the family of Dr. Ikena Erin, the 36-year-old cardiologist based in the United States who recently unalived himself. It is speculated that he locked the door, threatening the mother of his children, and his two kids were involved as well. He held them hostage for 3 hours, and after those 3 hours, he decided to point the gun at himself and shot himself. So this is a case of suicide. It's not very easy for the mourning family to have to deal with the fact that, they're losing a son, not only a son, but a well-established and successful son. I mean, this is a guy who left Nigeria, came here to study, became a cardiologist. I can just imagine how proud his parents or his siblings are that, he achieved such a wonderful profession. It's quite sad. It's been popular over the internet. A lot of people are saying so many things. Some are saying that the girlfriend supposedly is very wicked, will pay the child support now. How will she, take care of the kids now that he's not there? And so they've been going through a legal battle, and this legal battle has to do with the kids. So the girlfriend trying to get legal custody of the children. And in that case, the court ordered that he was to be paying $15,000 in child support. Now, if you're in the United States, you know that when it comes to child support, the court looks at different aspects. At least if you did not know, you know now. The court looks at the income of both parents, okay? They look at how many children are involved. They look at who is earning the highest. So seemingly it comes down to a fair battle, all right? Although some people are arguing that the system favors women. Hey, see, I'm not a lawyer. I'm just saying what I see, and this is what it is, okay? So the court ruled in favor of his supposedly girlfriend, and they're thinking that this is what led to him being burdened about the situation and eventually led to his suicide, because it is speculated that a letter was found in his room, and in that letter he mentioned that the system wasn't fair to him. Not only was the system not fair to him, also he felt like he was incapable of taking care of his children. He also spent thousands of dollars in legal fees, and all these burdens accumulated, and the cardiologist just felt like it was too much for him to handle. And when I think about this situation, I can't keep going back to thinking about his family, because I know that if they could rewind the situation, they would try their best possible way to be there for him. I watched the sister speak during his funeral. She was very emotional, and I sympathized with them. However, this has been a long battle for him and the girlfriend, and sadly, it ended the way it ended. If you're not aware, cardiologists are one of the highest paid doctors in the United States. And this man has a beautiful profession where he can get a job in different countries, not just the United States. I mean, a cardiologist is someone that will command attention wherever they find themselves. It's a respectable profession. So it's quite sad that he ended up this way. Many people are saying the girlfriend is wicked, saying that now that he's gone, how will she get the 15,000 to pay for the child support? What will she do? She's a wicked girl, blah, blah. A life is lost, right? We stand and we also sympathize with the public, thinking that it's unfair to him. Why? Because, people might be thinking that in case she never put in for child support, he will still be here today. We understand that side of it. Before we look at this case further, let's look at a case that was posted by Better Things. Better Things posted a case about a domestic violence situation. And in this situation, this lady was married to a military personnel. And during a dispute, he proceeded to use a block of cement and threw it at the lady's head, and she got injured, and through that process she had to go to the hospital to be taken care of, and then her family, they were going to come get her from the hospital. In cases like this, we've seen many domestic violence cases that has occurred, and nothing has been done about it. I mean, normally these men are still as free as everybody else, walking the streets and living their lives, especially when it comes down to military personnel. It's hard. Like, you hardly see a military personnel get the repercussions that they need to get, because they're already in the military and they know their ways around. They might know people that are able to defend them, and they're able to walk out of that situation and be living on the streets as free as you can think of. So it's quite an unfortunate situation. Well, we look at that and we see a situation where men a lot of times are not even held responsible for these things. Now, let's come back to the case of Ikena Iren. His wife made a post on Instagram, and I'm going to go ahead and read what she said. There are a lot of lies swirling around the internet right now, and it's impossible to address them all. For years, I have stayed silent as I've gone through a journey of character development, resilience, and obedience to God. My children and I had a near-death experience on January 26th, and we are now on a journey of healing. Those who know me know that I have always taken care of my kids 100% of the time since their respective births. Those that know our situation know that their dad hasn't even lived in the same state as us for majority of their lives. They know that my son is permanently disabled and has been in therapy 40 hours a week since he was 1 year old. They know that I have always been the primary financial provider for my kids, always. My children and I will overcome. The worst night of our lives, when we begged to leave for 3 hours, has been flipped around to make us look like villains. I have received dozens of text messages and calls threatening my life and my children's lives. This has to stop. I have videos, I have pictures, I have police documentation of multiple incidents. I don't want to take it there. This has to stop. Nobody knows someone like their partner. I respect the experiences and memories you had of him, and I do not seek to tarnish them. I know the truth. People that know me know the truth. What you think of me is none of my business. Nigerians love gossip, but don't forget, my children and I are real people trying to safely move on with our lives. We are already living through the result of years of anger and ignorance. Let's move forward with love. So we just read what the mother of his children said. Now, going back to this case that happened in Cameroon of domestic violence, I'm just saying that, right, Cameroon is a society where there've been a lot of unfairness when it comes to women who go through cases of domestic violence, right? I say all of this to say that, number one, when it comes as, please, I want us to be as assertive as possible. I'm not trying to demean anything. I'm not trying to make it the same scenario thing. However, I just want us to gather the lessons that we can from this. When it comes to a society like Cameroon and a society like the United States, I appreciate the fact that there is order. I appreciate the fact that the society, United States to be specific, is structured in a way that there's a fair chance for people to escape abuse. There's a fair chance for people to escape being fairly untreated. The society has been structured that way. And I think that blaming the girlfriend for taking him to court is not really the best thing to do at this time. Let me read her specific statement. She says, nobody knows someone like their partner. You can't argue that. She knew him best, and she knew whatever was happening in the relationship better than anyone on this internet space trying to defend either or. So I'm not saying let's take her word for it. We're not judges either. We don't know the full story. But I'm just saying that the whole situation could have been handled differently. I'm just going to go straight into the lessons that we can learn in this case. Number one, you see, mental health struggles is often hidden. It doesn't show on our faces. For most people, actually, it doesn't show. especially for professionals, people that are working this highly respected jobs. They don't come off showing depression. They don't come off showing anxiety. They don't come off showing, unrest. Like it's not shown on your faces. They have a profession and they have to keep it professional every time they show up to work. They're there to work, and so they have to have that face game on. They have to take care of their patients. That's what they're there for, and they're expected to put up a certain character. And so, for that reason, a lot of healthcare professionals suffer in silence. That's the first thing we need to know. Okay, they suffer in silence because, first of all, there's an expectation of them, and that's whether they say it or not. There's an expectation of them at their job, and just like every parent, there's an expectation of them at home. So you're not going to see that someone is going through these things just right off the bat. Secondly, the medical profession comes with immense stress, immense pressure. Okay. They work long hours, and by the time they come home, they're exhausted. Emotional exhaustion is one of those things that can lead to burnout. And, when they come home, they need to be able to relieve that stress. And if they have a spouse, one of the things they're looking at is someone that can give them a listening ear. They're looking for someone that they can talk to, even if it's a family member. If you're living with someone that is in the healthcare profession, trust me, just be kind to them, especially on days that they come home from their shifts, because they must have had a long, tedious day at work. From seeing one patient to the other, you're using your brain, you're thinking, you're being proactive, you're using your body physically to try and help these patients the best way that you can. Offer them tea if you have to. Offer them your favorite meal if you have to. Just little things that can help ease up that stress is very helpful. Okay. For the case of Dr. Ikena, I don't know what his situation was at home. Apparently he wasn't living with the mother of his kids, like she's saying. They were in separate states. Maybe what troubled him was that he wasn't as close to his children. Who knows? But he needed someone. I feel like someone he could talk to, someone that he could share this burden with. I was reading a news report, and a classmate of his made a comment saying that in school, he was very calm. And if anyone tried to look for his trouble, he's one of those people that would walk away. This is someone that apparently his classmate reckons him for being quiet. Not only that, like the top 5 smart student in his class, and it was a group of highly intelligent students, but he was at the top 5. So I think, when things like this happen to people like this, I can bet you that if you sat them down and talked to them, they probably didn't see it coming. But, emotional stress is something that when you accumulate so much inside of you for so long, it becomes traumatizing at some point. We are humans, right? We have this thing called flesh, and each of us have a threshold. And you see, if we're not able to manage our emotions well, it gets to a point where when we reach that threshold, we find for a way to unleash it. And for Dr. Ikina, unfortunately, it looks like the case was unalived himself, which didn't have to get there. There are actually a lot of solutions that he could have sought after. Unfortunately, it already happened. The third lesson we can learn from this is asking for help should not be stigmatized. Anybody can ask for help, whether you're a male, especially males. They feel as though society will look down on them. Even in the African society, we stigmatize therapy. Why do we do that? Even in the Christian community, we stigmatize therapy. A professional therapist is very well recommended. Talking to someone, even a spiritual leader, sometimes that's what you might need to do. Just someone that can offer you guidance, someone that can lead you, help you see things a different way from your perspective. Sometimes that helps to take the burden off of you. We shouldn't stigmatize people for seeking therapy. We shouldn't stigmatize people for getting help. Sometimes that's what they need to help them get through that situation or burden that they're facing. I work for a facility, my hospital, where they offer free counseling service for anybody that works at the hospital. This is something that a lot of hospitals should offer, where the healthcare professionals can seek for help. But you see, we Africans, our people, we don't make use of these things. In fact, we might not even see it as important because we feel like, what is therapy? I understand that we're living in a society where a lot of people are going through depression and you feel like it's a cultural thing. But therapy is not a cultural thing. At some point, especially living in a high-paced society like the one that we're in, trust me, sometimes you just need someone to talk to, not even because of worries, just because you have someone to give you a different perspective from what you're thinking. All right. So please, let's not stigmatize people for seeking solutions or for trying to get help for being mentally exhausted, because mental exhaustion is a thing. Okay. And let's try to recognize the symptoms early enough and deal with it. And when something like this happens in society, please, let's avoid the blame game. It doesn't help. Let's not blame the wife. Let's not blame Ikena for taking his life. It already happened. I think the best thing we can do now is to look at the lessons that we can learn from what already happened. And in the case of Dr. Ikena, it's quite unfortunate because I wish that he could listen to someone. I wish that someone could tell him that if it means you getting out of this country, trust me, you will still get another job somewhere else. Actually, I learned that he lost his license. I don't know how come, but being a cardiologist and the vast knowledge he's been exposed to, I believe that there's something that he was able to do to make it out in life. That wasn't the end of him. But again, we don't know the full story. And I just hope that a lot of people seek help when the time is right and it's now left for us to do the right thing.